Let's kind of move forward from that here for a moment or two and talk about some of the things that are going on within the department. And one of the things right now, you're undergoing a coaching search for men's basketball. Tell us how that is progressing under very unusual times.
Yeah. So we're excited to hire the next leader of our men's basketball search. My first head coach hire, Ken, and we're laser focused on finding the right next head coach for us. And this is another example of silver lining, or ways in which you start to think about doing things differently, and then you're like, gosh, this has worked really well. And so we firstly just been really excited about the interest in the position. I mean, we had over 200 applications for the position, and we've been overwhelmed with interest on it, which is fantastic. We went through a first stage of phone interviews, and then currently this week wrapped up 2-hour Zoom calls with candidates. And we structured those in a way where the first hour was questions from the committee. I have a small committee helping me, including a student athlete on that committee. And then the second hour was actually to ask the candidates to present to us through Zoom on their first 90 days. And then, they did a little kind of scouting report to give us a sense of what their X's and O's and general coaching philosophies would be. And, through all of that, it's been really incredible to kind of build relationship through that and go through this with the candidates. And these are unprecedented times, and we're building this process as we, building the plane as we fly it. So we'll continue to narrow that down, and we'll now be thinking about ways in which we can engage the finalists with the broader campus community, with the team, whether we have a chance to do that in person or whether we'll continue that virtually. But hope to have that wrapped up here within the next month and get that person on board for the fall.
Lesley, one of the things that you stressed when you came on board as the athletic director was creating and maintaining and establishing a championship culture at Colorado College. And certainly when the rug gets pulled out from everybody with COVID-19 and everything has to come in some ways to a screeching halt, that presents a new challenge. But again, I would think with those meetings that the coaches are having as a group and your meetings with individual coaches and administrators, that work certainly continues on even during these unusual times.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Ken, it's the so what of what we do. Championship culture, which is essentially mission-driven culture. And when I engage in conversations with all the people I interact with on a daily basis, and they'll be sharing stories, or they'll be sharing challenges, or they'll be sharing opportunities. And I think it's always really important to tie back to, why does that matter? And how does that help us get better? And how does that help us compete for championships? And I think more now than ever, I think the coaches, they're enjoying engaging in that type of aspirational thinking, because it's what we like to think about. And it's not just about charging the coaches with that. It's about charging all of ourselves, all of us who support those programs, that we also need to think of ways in which we support the head coaches to achieve those goals. So there's been a lot of, it's funny, I've talked about just being super busy, but there's been a lot of work that we have been able to do to speak to that championship culture. And it's not quite the flashy, glamorous stuff, but it's more, it's the budget. It's what does it take to support a championship culture? What does that look like? What does our annual fundraising program look like, which ties directly to championship culture, right? If you have a championship team or an exciting team, people want to find ways to support that. So how are we positioned to do that? So I think, those, I've continued to have my one-on-ones with the coaches, and we have Zoom calls, and we continue to talk about business, right? I will say one of the things that we're wrestling with that maybe does provide push on championship culture is what will our schedules look like? When, you know, I think there'll be certainly a trickle down for the fall sports. We're in Colorado Springs, and so people have to get on a plane to travel here. So making sure that the coaches are being flexible with their thinking with scheduling. We might have to go to a more regionalized schedule. We might need to be on a bus a little bit longer. So that's a good example of how do we continue to support championship culture while also managing some of the impact of COVID-19, which at the end of the day, there is going to be a bigger picture here, and the coaches are going to have some unique challenges this year.
Are there dates in your mind when decisions have to be made, knowing that everything is flexible?
Yeah.
In terms of, because there's so much question about what's going to happen in the fall. Will students be on campus?
Yeah.
Will athletics pick up and start going in late August and September? Again, no answers to those questions, and there probably can't be answers for a while yet, but obviously those are things that administrators have to be considering right now.
Yeah, I think we're, you know, a couple of things with that. I mean, I think being at Colorado College, we're actually uniquely positioned because we're on the block schedule, that we have some flexibility that maybe other colleges and universities don't have. So as we think about maybe the potential for a delayed start versus, you know, having to think about canceling an entire fall semester. So I think we're positioned well. I'll say, you know, obviously I'm engaged on those on-campus discussions, and we will be announcing, there are multiple committees that will be set around the campus to be thinking about scenario setting, you know, if we are back on campus, how do we do that safely? How can we have events, and how do we manage that so it's done safely? But at the end of the day too, Ken, part of this is about monitoring, you know, state mandates. It's about what the health agencies are sharing with us. It's about what the NCAA is sharing with us. It's about what's happening at the conference level, right? I'm engaged with the SCAC administrators about what they're thinking. Obviously in conversations with the Mount West Conference, who have been in the media, you know, around some of the impacts potentially there on schedules. So some of it will be driven, and some of it will be proactive around, you know, what do we think we need to do that makes sense for us? So, you know, I think we'll start to see probably some decisions towards the end of June, early July, around what the fall might actually start to look like, and how that will impact athletics specifically, I think is still to be determined. I think one of the most challenging things, Ken, I was talking to senior staff about this the other day, is, you know, every other second there's a rumor or something on Twitter, and it's trying to do your best to manage that information, but then also take it within the context that it is. And that's really, you know, just another hypothesis or theory that's going to change in a couple of minutes. But it's been really interesting, and in many ways, you know, tough to see how this is impacting athletics specifically.
Sure, no doubt about that. Let's touch on some of the highlights over this first year of your time here at Colorado College. There have been quite a few of them, but what stands out to you? What are some of the big moments that you've observed during this first year as the athletic director?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, you know, as I go through that, you know, I think our fall season this year was incredible. It was really fun. You know, everything from our cross country team winning championships. We hosted the SCAC championship, which, you know, nothing better than hosting and winning on your home turf, which was fantastic. Men's soccer had such a great year. Having the opportunity to go out and see them play in the NCAA postseason in Chicago, and then, you know, jumping on a plane to Atlanta to see women's volleyball play, seeing Rick, get his 600th win this year. And, those trains, planes, and automobile weekends are things that are, as an AD, you're just smiling because you want to be able to be doing that at that time of the year, because it means that you're dancing and it means that you're in the postseason. So, I think a lot about that. Excited to see some of the progress around women's soccer and what's happening there. And, we had Brandy Chastain on campus and Shamila Koastani for an incredible event on campus that really introduced athletics. And even just myself to campus early during that time. And, the culmination of that fall season was, we finished with our highest ever Directors Cup finish, top 40, which puts us in the top 8% of all Division III institutions. And what that really means, Ken, is we're really good and we're competitive, and we need to start talking more about that, because we talk about championship culture as if, as if we're creating it. And in many ways we're not. What we're actually doing is more strategically telling our story, because when you look at what women's volleyball has been doing year in, year out, they are living that championship culture. During the winter, women's basketball, obviously, on a real upswing. That's an exciting program. To see that heading in the right direction. We're in the middle of the men's basketball search, and it was fun to start to just get into to the spring, our lacrosse programs are two programs that again are challenging and winning games consistently, and it was. The men were 6-0. They had started out really strong, and so thinking of those things, the women were nationally ranked. And then hockey specifically, Ken. I mean, obviously, everything from Robeson, to the progress that was made there, to getting official public approval for the arena. To just going in and out of those games at the World Arena and getting to know the community and the fans and the support. And, obviously we've been talking about, where we want hockey to be next year, and how can we better support hockey. And Mike and I are talking daily about that, and we feel really energized about that. So, and then there was the logo unveil and all of those things. So there were just, so many incredible memories, and it's been awesome, and I just couldn't be more excited to be here. It's been a wild ride, and I smile when I think about what's to come.
One of the things that's been consistent since they broke ground over at the Robeson Arena is work continues. They have not slowed down. Yeah. That's one of the great things about construction. When they talk about social distancing, construction workers don't have to be standing shoulder to shoulder. So that work continues, and that's really exciting.
Oh, Ken, yes, for sure. I mean, I think you see just how visible that space is. And we've been pushing out some of the drone shots. At Robeson Arena now has its own Twitter handle, so we're pushing out from there, and to see that block and what that means in terms of the footprint of the campus is just really exciting. You're right in terms of we meet daily, weekly around the construction, and to be sure that the construction workers are safe, and that all of this is safe during this time. But we're excited that knock on wood, no delays at this point, and we're going to be going vertical here soon. So it's fun, and it's really starting to become a reality, and we just can't wait to see that, and it'll be our last year in the World Arena next year. So we have to think about, and we are thinking about, celebrating that and recognizing the time that we've had there, and how grateful we are for that, and more to come on that. So
No question about that. I know that we're running out of time here. You've got plenty of meetings to get to, but I guess the message that we need to, I guess, send out to everybody is we need to be safe. We're a team together, all of us, whether it's administrators, athletes, coaches, fans, members of the community. We need to do what the people that know what they're talking about, we need to do what they're telling us to do. Social distancing, wear a mask in public, all that stuff, because we want everyone to be able to come back on campus whenever we're able to start, hopefully early in the fall, so that we can enjoy CC athletics.
Ken, of course, I think we all have to play our part. And I mean, we're CC athletics, but I think I talk to the average person or the neighbor across the street, and they all talk about missing sport. It makes you think about, I think you and I talked about this, even why I came to the United States as a 22-year-old graduate student. Well, it's because no other country loves sport the way America does. And it's so fun to be a part of that. But on the flip, it's caused such a void, I think, for many of us in many ways. So absolutely, as leaders and as visible leaders around our campus, we've got to be safe. We've got to be committed to that and stay hopeful and optimistic, and let's daydream about coming back together in a way that makes sense, and that at the end of the day puts the community's health first and foremost.
No question about that. Well, Lesley, I want to thank you for your time. This is the first in what's going to be an ongoing series of discussions with administrators and coaches, and the goal is to keep people informed and keep people engaged in Colorado College Tiger athletics. So Lesley, thank you for this. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon. So for Lesley Irvine, I'm Ken Landau. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.